Quite a while ago I decided to begin posting videos looking at two books found in the Bible, two of my favourite books, Daniel and Revelation. One thing led to another and I never got round to it, but I've decided now to look at those two books. One of the reasons being is a lot of accusations flying around on YouTube and elsewhere. People attacking Adventist beliefs, claiming that we get all of our doctrines from the teachings of Ellen White. People attacking the investigative judgment, 1844 and so on and so forth. In this series of videos I'd like to deal with those two things among many other things. What I'm going to do is go through each book chapter by chapter, beginning with Daniel chapter 1. So there may be 12 videos looking at Daniel and 22 looking at Revelation. This is kind of an introduction to the book of Daniel. The next video, by the Most High's grace, will be a look at Daniel chapter 1. What I'd like to do in this video is basically share some thoughts on the book of Daniel as a whole. The book contains 12 chapters. Chapter 1 and chapters 3 through to 6 are narratives describing certain local and literal events which took place in Babylon involving kings and Hebrews. The remaining chapters all contain dreams or stories, narratives that surround dreams and visions, and interpretations are given of each of the visions or dreams. It's important when studying the book of Daniel to have a look at the meaning of the name Daniel. When studying the Old Testament, what I find helpful is looking at the original meaning of the name of the books found therein. It's going to get a little bit dark now because I'm walking over a field. When you find out the original meaning of any of the names of the books, especially in the Old Testament, primarily in the Old Testament, it gives insight into the theme of the book. There are obvious ones, such as Genesis. The word Genesis means beginning, and the book of Genesis deals with beginnings. Exodus, another obvious one. Exodus is a movement of people, and the book of Exodus focuses on the movement of the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land. If you look at the original meaning of the name Daniel, it means Elohim is my judge, or God is my judge. And so you can see the theme of the book is kind of described to a certain degree in the name, or the original meaning of the name Daniel. So the theme of the book of Daniel is judgment. It's a book telling us how the Most High judges, when he judges, why he judges, who he judges, how long he judges for, and so on and so forth. Now the chapters containing the dreams and visions give us insight into the times of judgment, who will be judged, and gives us insight into certain nations that will have a role to play in history. The narratives, as I said, describe local and literal events which took place in Babylon, and these events establish, or the stories establish, principles that help us to better understand the experience of the Most High's people, especially in the last days. So the dreams and visions give us insight into, for example, when the last days will begin, and the narratives give insight into the experience of the Most High's people, especially in the last days. And we are living in the last days, and we need to study the book of Daniel, the book of Revelation in earnest, because there's great insight into not only when the last days began, more so the attitude required to get through the last days. So the next video, by the Most High's grace, will be a look at Daniel chapter 1. Any questions about the content of this video, please feel free to ask in the comments section below. Video responses welcome, and I'll end by making the usual request. Please pray for me as I, you can see my face now, pray for you.